The Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh is one of India's most loved and yet hated organizations. To its supporters, the RSS is a beacon of nationalism, the protector of Hindu culture, and the moral compass of Indian society. For detractors, the RSS is a closed-door, old boys club which functions like a cult and wields a remote control over what the Modi government does and doesn't do. Everyone has a strong opinion about the RSS. You either love or hate the Sangh. But my biggest problem is that most people make very little effort to understand what the Sangh stands for by listening to the RSS firsthand. Views about the RSS are formed on the basis of opinions of others who either love or hate the RSS. And one of the reasons why people have very little first-hand understanding of the RSS is because the Sangh never speaks in public. It gives me immense pleasure in introducing our next speaker at the India Today Conclave, who is one of the brightest stars of the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. I want to tell our audience that this is the first time ever that the RSS has agreed to take questions on a public platform. It's taken us 5 years to convince the Sangh about the need to speak in public, to answer questions, and to contest popularly held notions about the RSS. Before I begin our session, I want to introduce our keynote speaker at the India Today Conclave, Dattatreya Hosable. Dattatreya Hosable was born in Shimoga in Karnataka in 1954. At the age of 13, when his friends were learning how to bat and bowl, Hosable decided to become a Swayamsevak. He says he was inspired by the ideals of Swami Vivekananda, who believed in Daridra Narayan, poor people are my God. Hosable studied English literature at the National College and then at the Central College in Bengaluru, where he went on to join the Akhil Bharatiya Vidyarthi Parishad. For 30 years, he served in the students' wing of the RSS, where he rose to become the National Organization Secretary. During the JP movement, Hosable was jailed in Bengaluru and then Bellary for 14 months, along with the likes of L.K. Advani, Madhu Dandwate, and Ramakrishna Hegde. From 2003 to 2009, Hosable served as the Sah Bodhik Pramukh in charge of intellectual training in the RSS. Since 2009, he's been the Joint General Secretary and is seen in Sangh circles as the future face of the RSS. Dattatreya Hosable is a Swayamsevak who breaks the stereotypical image of a pracharak. He's a voracious reader who counts Jeffrey Archer as his favorite author. He loves Bollywood masala movies and also Hollywood movies, from sci-fi to cowboy flicks, from Alfred Hitchcock to Steven Spielberg. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming to the India Today Conclave, Dattatreya Hosable. Hosable ji, welcome. We are in T20 season. The World Championship of T20 is currently on, and therefore I have 20 questions for you, which I hope to get you to answer, and then we'll throw this session open to the public. My first question, sir, is what is the RSS's vision for India 2020?
An India that will have a covetable place in the Committee of Nations. An India which is prosperous, where the basic needs are fulfilled for all the citizens in this country. An India which is having no discrimination on the basis of caste, religion, birth, or gender. An India which is united. A Bharat which takes inspiration and is proud of its cultural heritage and its civilizational contribution. And that is the vision of India as far as RSS is concerned.
साल 2020 के लिए RSS का अपने खुद के लिए विजन क्या है?
To become an effective instrument to translate this vision into action.
Hindutva is a word the RSS uses very often. Hindutva is a word that is endearing to many, but scares many others off as well. You say often in the RSS that Hindutva is a way of life. But Hindutva is also associated naturally with Hinduism. You say it's not. If Hindutva is not about Hinduism, why not then say Indianism? Or find some other word which is not linked to Hindu religion, because that really creates all these perceptions about the RSS.
The perceptions are created by various people, including the media and others. When the perception is there that you agree to some extent, to some degree, that the fact is something different, right? So the thing is, Hindutva, and we say repeatedly, n number of times we have said, that it is a Hindu-ness and not Hinduism. Hindu view of life, Hindu way of life. Dr. S. Radhakrishnan delivered this lecture in Oxford University in 1928. It's not communal. I am a proud Hindu, Mahatma Gandhi said. So he is not communal. Vivekananda delivered his lecture in America and in the European countries, being a proud Hindu. And those lectures are not on the communal. So I don't understand why people should be afraid of hearing the word Hindutva or Hinduism or Hinduness. Because the Hindus have never aggressed anywhere on this planet in the entire history of humankind. It is one civilization, it is one nation, it's one culture, it's one people and one society who have not at any time of history have aggressed or made anybody enslaved any part of the world. So why this fear? It is only a fear that is created because of wrong understanding or deliberate intentions.
So you're quoting what Swami Vivekananda said. Can I also quote to you what Guru Golwalkar, who the RSS holds very dear to its founding thoughts, said, and I'm quoting from page 177 from his book, The Bunch of Thoughts, where he deals with Muslims, Christians, and communists in 3 separate chapters with the title Internal Threats. He says, and I quote now, "The foreign races in Hindustan must either adopt the Hindu culture and language, must learn to respect and hold in reverence the Hindu religion, must entertain no idea but those of glorification of the Hindu race and culture, or may stay in the country wholly subordinated to the Hindu nation, claiming nothing, deserving no privileges, far less any preferential treatment, not even citizens' rights." So when you've got the founding father, one of the people who set the ideological tone for the RSS, saying that Hindutva also means that other religions must be subordinates of Hinduism, then that really does scare people, Mr. Hosabi.
Yeah. But in the same bunch of thoughts, you must also read, so all that is expected of our Muslim and Christian court citizens is the shedding of the notions of their being religious minorities as also their foreign mental complexion and merging themselves in the national stream of this soil. See, what RSS has been saying is this, that you always should not think, the Muslim community, and some of them, I don't say all, that we have been rulers at one time and we want to rule this country again. And not identify with the invaders. There have been Muslims, even during the period of Shivaji, there have been Muslims in Shivaji's army, many people. When Shivaji was going to encounter with Afzal Khan, there were 3 Muslims in his army. And in the Panipat battle in 1761, Ibrahim Gardi was the chief of the artillery section. So the battles were fought on the side of Hindus also had many Muslims. See, just because one is Muslim, we have not treated him, or we do not think that he is something against this country. Only thing is, when in the name of Islam, you have divided this country. That history is not very ancient one.
But you aren't responding to my question, Dattatreyaji. My question is that Guru Golwalkar, in several passages, and I can quote many more, essentially suggests that Hinduism in some fashion is a superior religion to the others, and if you are going to stay in the fatherland of India, you must be subjugated to Hinduism.
No, we have never said. That's what I read this paragraph. if anybody says that another religion, which is not a religion of this land or one's own religion, if anybody wants to say that it is a lower or inferior to one religion, that itself is un-Hindu. That is the clear statement of Dr. And the finest thing is of one who ceases to be Hindu is the real Hindu. That's why I want to quote this very thing, because you have been quoting, I will also quote. And that is also by Dr. Golwalkar only. That's why I want to, because the audience also should know. As far as the national tradition of this country is concerned, sorry, I'm missing the, because of, there have been a lot of, this land, it never considered that with a change in the method of worship, an individual ceases to be a son of the soil. That is not. Here in this land, there can be no objection to God being called by any name whatever. Ingrained in this soil is love and respect for all faiths and religious beliefs. He cannot be a son of this soil at all who is intolerant of other faiths.
Since you're quoting from Golwalkarji, I have another quote.
This is on page number 159 of the same book.
Because his ideology is founded, and I quote again, on the principle of one nation, Hindu, one culture, Sanskrit, one religion, Hinduism, which essentially leads to many of our friends here asking, what about other religions? What about other cultures? What about other Sanskritis?
One thing is, I have told, the Hindu, when the RSS has been saying, it is with the connotation of nationalism, is nothing to do with religion. That is why we have been repeatedly saying that those people who are taking birth in this land are Hindus because this land is Hindustan.
Whatever Muslim says, no, I'm not Hindu, Dattaji.
By religion, he is not Hindu. Muhammad Karim Chagla, he said, I'm Muslim by religion, but I'm a Hindu by culture.
The Sarsang Chalak of the RSS, Mohanji Bhagwat, on the 3rd of March, gave a speech in which he said, we need to give training to our youngsters to chant Bharat Mata Ki Jai.
What's wrong?
Asuddin Owaisi asks the RSS, I am a patriot. I don't want to chant Bharat Mata Ki Jai. Why should Owaisi and others be forced to chant Bharat Mata Ki Jai if they don't want to? Does it make them anti-national? Does it make them a traitor?
Last night I was watching a TV program, and all the political parties except Owaisi, they were objecting to his very statement, irrespective of the political ideology. And even the Congress leaders also said, you can say Bharat Mata Ki Jai or Jai Hind or anything. The thing is not the question of the words, Bharat Mata Ki Jai. The thing is what you want to express through your words, your speeches, your action. That is the thing. Bharat Mata Ki Jai. Everybody should shout a slogan. There is nothing wrong in that.
No, there's absolutely nothing wrong. But what if somebody says, I don't want to say Bharat Mata Ki Jai? Is he, in the view of the RSS, a traitor?
Of course, he is an anti-national if he says. Because the very thing when you say that you do not want to chant Bharat Mata Ki Jai, you are not allowing others also to not chant Bharat Mata Ki Jai. And Vande Mataram and Bharat Mata Ki Jai are not the mantras or the slogans coined by RSS. They were coined during the freedom struggle of this nation.
Just this morning we had Pratap Bhanu Mehta here, and when he spoke of Bharat Mata Ki Jai, in the same breath he asked, "Wo kahan hai jinhe Hind par naaz hai?"
Jai Hind, even Prime Minister Indira Gandhi was also shouting on the August 15th. So do you object to that?
No, I don't object at all. I'm very happy to say Jai Hind, Vande Mataram, Bharat Mata Ki Jai. But my question is, and I think you've answered it when you say you believe Asuddin Owaisi is a traitor if he doesn't want to say Bharat Mata Ki Jai.
I said if anybody says he's an anti-national.
He's an anti-national.
Yeah.
Why should it be compulsory for him to say Bharat Mata?
Compulsory is not that he should chant every day. If he says that I will not chant, then only. That is the thing. I am not saying every day morning he should get up and shout Bharat Mata Ki Jai. If he says that he doesn't want to say Bharat Mata Ki Jai, then it becomes a
does that then not lead to the concern that one worldview, which is the view of the RSS, is being superimposed on others?
It is not the view of the RSS, it is the view of this land. You can go and ask people who do not belong to RSS also. That is why I said, the Congress party spokesperson yesterday, he was telling that what OIC was saying is wrong. He doesn't subscribe to the views of RSS. So you are putting the word that RSS is trying to say that Bharat Mata. No, it is not the only RSS. RSS is only giving voice to the feelings of the people who do not belong to even RSS.
A critic of the RSS sent me a message and asked me to put this question to you. During the freedom struggle, the RSS and other organizations belonging to the Hindu right, by and large, stayed away from the freedom movement. If, at that time, the definition of nationalism were to be taken to be being against the British Empire, fighting in favor of Mahatma Gandhi, Pandit Nehru, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, then by that definition of nationalism applicable at that time, the RSS could have been called anti-national for not participating in the freedom movement.
History is being distorted. That's why these things are coming up. RSS has not participated in the freedom movement. This very fact, this very statement is a baseless thing. Because the RSS was founded in 1925. The founder of RSS, Dr. Hedgewar, was the joint secretary of the Congress during that period of the central provinces. Right? And when, on the bank of Ravi River, the Congress declared the total complete freedom from British, the RSS was issued orders by the chief of RSS, Dr. Hedgewar, that they should celebrate this in every shaka of RSS throughout the country. And umpteen number of RSS volunteers, Swayamsevaks, have participated in the freedom struggle because the national freedom struggle was led by Indian National Congress. And the RSS Swayamsevaks have participated in Satyagrahas in 1942 Quit India movement, in many such movements. So we have not written separate history that we are away from the National Congress movement like the communists. Communists have also not participated in the freedom struggle. So RSS, the history about the RSS movement is to be studied and understood properly by the people who accuse RSS of not being a participant in the freedom struggle. RSS people have participated. I can give examples after examples. And the founder himself was a congressman, and he never resigned the Congress party thing. He always, that is why Mahatma Gandhi also visited the RSS camp in Wardha.
Okay. I want to come now to the very recent Akhil Bharatiya Pratinidhi Sabha, which got over with this very important message that the uniform of the RSS would change from the flappy knickers to brown trousers. Is this a cosmetic change? Does this send out a far deeper message about the RSS trying to adapt to a new era?
Changing according to times is the essential thing for Hindutva itself. Because the Hindu civilizational heritage says that we should change according to times. The organization which is for Hindutva movement, that naturally we are also trying to change according to the needs of the time. And the RSS Swayamsevaks also felt, and people also felt, yes, there can be a change in this. And we have changed. No other message. That is the only message that we want to give, if at all there is a message, that is, we change according to times and needs.
The RSS also took a very progressive view on reservation. Progressive in the eyes of several people sitting here, I'm sure. Progressive also in the eyes of upper castes. But very, very politically combustive. Because the moment you say, let there be a debate on reservation, let creamy layer be properly defined, then your critics will say, this is a Nagpur, upper caste, Brahmin-dominated organization that has never been comfortable with the idea of reservation, and therefore, with Modi, a Swayamsevak in power, now wants to try and find a way of doing away with reservation. How do you respond, sir?
Again, it is not understanding the RSS stand properly has given rise to such feelings and statements made by various people, as you have said, by the critics of RSS. The RSS in 1981, in the wake of anti-reservation movements in different parts of the country, had passed a resolution in its Akhil Bharatiya Pratinidhi Sabha saying that the reservations, because of the social discrimination, is a historic necessity and we have to support this. And on December 16th last year, that is 2015, the chief of RSS, Mohan Bhagwat, delivered a lecture in Nagpur and he declared that as long as there is social discrimination on the basis of birth, low and high, touchable and untouchable, the reservation should continue. Where is the question for any confusion?
But you want, for example, the creamy layer to be extended outside OBCs as well. You want that the benefits of reservation go to the right sections of people. And I completely agree with that. It's a perfectly sensible thing to do. But we saw the political consequences of Mohan Raoji Bhagwat saying what he did in the Bihar elections, where Lalu Yadav went to town very effectively and reduced your political colleagues to a rump.
That is not the thing. The thing is, RSS doesn't want to make statements which is politically right or wrong. RSS has made a statement that is which is required in the interest of the nation. See, RSS chief has very clearly said, if those who have not read that statement, I request them to read once again. That is, the politicization of reservation is detrimental to the nation's interest. It has been politicized. Number two, the wishes of the constitution makers was that the people who deserve the reservation benefit should get it in a stipulated time. But unfortunately, it has not reached them. So that is why the creamy layer was not suggested by RSS. The social scientists, the political pundits, the people who have studied the issue, they suggested the creamy layer.
The Supreme Court endorsed it.
Of course. Then what is wrong in demanding that there should be creamy layer applied? It is in the interest of the people who are not getting the benefit of the reservation within the same sections who have been deprived of the chances and opportunities. So that is why in favor of them only we are speaking. That is why it is a question not reform or look. The whole only thing is how best you can implement the reservation policies and systems so as to see that the benefits are reaching to the real needy people.
ये बताएं जब RSS
And you are telling that the BR elections, people can make their own comments on anything. The thing is it the only reason or not? There are 20 other reasons.
नहीं, पर जब इस तरह का बयान आता है क्या बीजेपी की तरफ से आपको बाकियों को फोन आते हैं, अरे सर ये क्या बोल दिया, इलेक्शन में हम लोग इतनी मेहनत कर रहे थे, डुबा दिया आपने तो?
उन्होंने ऐसे कहा ही नहीं हमको.
नहीं कहा उन्होंने. डरते हैं आपसे?
हमारे घर में क्या हुआ ऐसे कैसे आपको मालूम?
मैं पूछ रहा हूँ. नहीं, मेरे को नहीं मालूम, मैं तो पूछ रहा हूँ आपसे.
हमको क्यों ना डरते हैं ना ऐसे पूछते हैं. हमने अपने काम किया, वो अपने काम कर रहे हैं.
अच्छा, तो बीजेपी सरकार का आपके हिसाब से संघ से इक्वेशन क्या है? क्या हर, क्योंकि अगर आप लोगों से पूछे तो लोग कहेंगे कि बीजेपी की सरकार संघ के रिमोट कंट्रोल से चलती है, कि फैसले नागपुर से तय होते हैं और मोदी और अमित शाह तो उन्हें इंप्लीमेंट करते हैं.
संघ और बीजेपी का कंट्रोल तो नहीं है, रिमोट तो है.
रिमोट है.
रिमोट है ना, डिस्टेंस.
वो रिमोट से एक सिग्नल भी जाता है. ये बड़ा ये पावरफुल रिमोट है, क्योंकि नागपुर से एक बटन प्रेस होता है, वहां से दिल्ली तक सिग्नल जाता है कि किस चीज पे क्या करना है.
देखिए, एक है मुझे, फर्स्ट थिंग इज RSS is not having any remote control either on BJP or any political party, number one. There are many RSS Swayamsevaks who are active participants in the BJP affairs because they are office bearers, and their number is quite big, nothing wrong. And BJP also subscribes to the certain views and policies of the RSS as the inspiration that they take in public life. Nothing wrong. Now the thing is, RSS having any remote control. There is no complaint from the BJP. There is no wish from the RSS. And why outsiders are feeling that there is a remote control? Has BJP any time complaining of this.
Whenever they get stuck, they come to you. So you are to the BJP what 10 Janpath is to the Congress. We had Rahul Gandhi sitting here a short while ago, and he said that...
If the family member comes to the family for something, is it remote control or love and affection?
It's also damage control, guidance, trying to deal with fights, showing the way. So it is essentially a super government. It is actually a superpower, extra constitutional authority, is it not?
How come? Where is the extra constitutional authority? Because the RSS has been repeatedly telling, and the BJP is also repeatedly there saying, we consult, we are not doing it hide and seek, there is nothing. We conducted Samanvaya Baitak last September.
Where everybody came and made presentations before you.
They can make presentation even in India conclave. So if they come and make presentation in India conclave, it is democratic. If they come and make the presentation in the RSS, it is control.
No, but the difference between a
They did it this morning.
This morning, 4 ministers.
So
came,
India today is remotely controlling BJP government.
Can I point out, sir, that there is a difference? No, actually, laughing matters aside, there is a difference between the presentation that was made by 4 ministers in the morning and their presentations to you. The difference is they can tell us what they are doing. You can tell them what to do.
That is not the thing. That is not what I was just watching what Karan Thapar was doing. He was also indirectly suggesting to Montek Singh Ahluwalia. And as citizens, we have a right to say to any government that you should try to do this. Even to Congress government, we have tried to say this. Is it wrong in a democratic society, an organization of the type of RSS, demanding from any government that you should do this
no,
and
but
you should
Congress
not do this?
Wouldn't listen to you, but for the BJP, your word is law. There is
we are ready. If Congress also comes to our conclave and they make a presentation, we will also tell them.
Did you ever invite the Congress?
Yes, we are ready to invite.
No, but you never invited them when they were in
It is not
power.
only the BJP which was invited. We invited the Swayam Sevaks who are working in various organizations. The people who are working in Vishwa Hindu Parishad, in Vidyarthi Parishad, in Mazdoor Sangh and many others, they came. We invited the Swayam Sevaks working in various organizations. It was not only the BJP which was invited.
How do you, Dattaji, compare the Modi government with the Vajpayee government when it comes to the equation with the RSS?
We are proud that RSS has produced 2 successful prime ministers.
One who listens to you, the other who didn't.
Both have been listening to the voice of the people, and that is quite enough for us.
No, but Vajpayee ji's equation with the Sangh Parivar was quite frayed, and I think that was one of the irritations for the RSS as well going into the 2004 elections.
This is all the media thing that has been made. There has never been a time when the relation between Vajpayee and RSS has been strained. There has been suggestions. Some suggestions will be accepted. Some suggestions may not be accepted. There is no compulsion. We have every right to make suggestions to any government, number one. And they have every right to accept or to reject any suggestion that is made by RSS. They are free. We are also free, number one. And as far as the comparison between Modi and Vajpayee is concerned, we are proud. Only thing is, I wish that Vajpayee also had the opportunity to become Prime Minister at the age when Modi became the Prime Minister.
Does Modi ji listen to the RSS more than Vajpayee ji?
Modi listens to RSS.
More. I'm asking you.
Both are listening.
Both listen.
Vajpayee also listened. Modi also listens. And listening is not that he is heeding.
He doesn't heed.
He may. See,
okay, in the last 2 years, Dattaji, have there been occasions when the RSS has told Modi ji to do something and he hasn't done it?
There is no, we do not say Modi particularly, we tell the government.
Yes, so have there been occasions
we have been saying.
No, have there been...
The present budget, yes, we wanted that a budget of this kind should be presented. We wanted it.
So the RSS, in some parts, suggested to the BJP what kind of a budget it wanted.
Sure, why not? We have also suggested to the Congress.
So have there been occasions, sir,
we have suggested to the Congress that they should build Mandir on the Ram Janmabhoomi. They did not listen.
Have you given the same advice to Modi ji and his government?
Yes, and they have printed in their manifesto.
But they haven't done anything about it.
3 more years are left, and Amit Shah is going to come here this night.
Are you suggesting, sir, that by 2019, the RSS hopes that before the first term of the Modi Sarkar is over, there will be a Bhavya Ram Mandir at the Ram Janmabhoomi in Ayodhya?
See, that is our dream. That is the wish of the people. It is for the courts and the government to take up the issue.
Are you confident, sir, that there will be a Ram Janmabhoomi temple in the disputed site in
We
Ayodhya?
are hopeful.
You were hopeful for the last several years. Are you now confident?
We are also confident that they will definitely pave the way for that.
Has the RSS, midway into the term of the BJP government, told the BJP that it must step up on some of these ideological issues?
No need. Because such discussions, they are also here, no?
So, that is enough. No,
But
because
then
nothing
for
has
any-
happened so far. If I were to ask a BJP minister about Article 370, Ram Janmabhoomi, you are very open and candid about it. They will be very coy
See,
in answering any of those questions.
We have also been candid about the farmer situation in this country. We have also been very candid about the economic policies. We have also been very candid about the security measures. We have also been very candid about the relations with other countries. It is not only that RSS has been harping upon only some 3 issues. We have been raising many issues. The recent Akhil Bharatiya Pratinidhi Sabha, we have said about the affordable, accessible education and affordable, accessible health for all.
I want to come now, sir, to the debate on nationalism in the context of what happened at Jawaharlal Nehru University. And there is a section of society that feels that because the ABVP, and you've been with the ABVP for so many decades, hasn't been able to make inroads into the JNU campus by winning through a democratic mandate, the RSS is now using supra-governmental structures to try and find some way of killing the back of the leftist movement inside Jawaharlal Nehru University. How do you respond, sir?
See, again, those who know about JNU, at least on 2 earlier occasions, once there was a president who was an ABP member, who was president of the Jawaharlal Nehru Students' Union, and once a general secretary of the Jawaharlal Nehru University Students' Union was there, who was an ABP member. I think she is among the audience here. And this time, there is a joint secretary of the JNU Students' Union, who is an ABP activist. So, and we have been winning the executive council seats also. For entering into any university, ABP does not require the government help. ABP on its own, because of its organizational strength and power, because of the hard work of the ABP activists, they are entering into universities, and number of universities in this country, they have been won by ABP on number of occasions, including JNU. See, using the government machinery for organizational purposes is not the tradition of RSS and RSS-inspired organizations. We have never done it. We don't do it. Because we have enough hard work, we have enough patience, we have enough ways of doing things, not the government help.
Do you believe it is correct to enforce one view of nationalism, one view of patriotism on everyone? Why are students so unhappy? There's so much outrage in campuses, from the Hyderabad University campus to JNU to FTII. It almost seems as if there is a problem in dealing with dissent.
That is for the government. RSS doesn't take these things. It is for the government to deal with it. However, anyhow, tomorrow evening you are going to have why students are angry on the campuses.
I see you've studied our conclave program very well.
And as an RSS man, I should come prepared. Thing is, the campuses, now, why the anti-India feelings are being expressed on the campuses? Bharat Virodi. Anti-India is anti-national. And if a group of students, whether they are students of that campus or they are outsiders, if they are raising the slogans that India should be broken into pieces, if they are raising slogans in favor of a criminal who attacked the temple of democracy and who has been hanged according to the law of the land, if slogans are raised in favor of, in support, eulogizing such people, then what do we conclude? Any nation in this world, we cannot tolerate this. So that is the whole thing. The issues of FTI are different. Please don't mix up.
One of the things that was said constantly by people owing allegiance to the RSS is that this would never be allowed in the United States, which is a liberal democracy. Just this morning on the front page of one of our national newspapers is an interview with the president of Princeton University, a Ivy League college in America, which says that he would have absolutely no problem if an event celebrating the life of Osama bin Laden or remembering the life of Osama bin Laden were to be organized at Princeton University.
It is for America to decide. The American Constitution also gives various liberties, but in India, that is not accepted. It is not acceptable. Because in India, the people here have their own. See, for example, flag code. In America, the flag code is different. The Indian flag code is different. Anybody who dishonors the Indian flag, the tricolor, will be arrested. But in America, they don't do it. So that doesn't mean that whatever America is accepting as the democratic principle should be accepted by the Indian Constitution.
What about,
we are having a different...
what about using doctor tapes as an example to make a point? For example, we saw...
It is for the forensic department to decide whether they are doctored or not. Let us not conclude that now here.
No, but there is a district magistrate report which does say that...
You leave the doctor tapes. Sri Arun Jaitley and the Rajya Sabha has clearly said, you leave the tapes things. The thing is, which is not doctored, very clear, this right slogan just now which you are referring to, that is a rising slogan, Bharat ko tukde tukde karenge, Bharat ko barbadi karenge, Manipur ki azadi, iski azadi, uski azadi.
But the people who raised those slogans haven't yet been arrested, sir. The people who raised the slogans, the JNU internal probe says came from the outside, they haven't yet been arrested.
Two students have already been arrested. And it's for the police and the government to decide who to arrest and when to arrest for investigations. It is not necessary that they arrest everybody overnight. It is for the government, the police to decide the things. The thing is, what is the message that has been given from the JNU campus on the night of the 9th March?
I'm in just a moment from now going to throw the floor open to questions. But before I do that, I want to understand, why do women have no place in the RSS? So why can there not be a day when, instead of you or Mohanji Bhagwat, a woman rises to be the head of the RSS? Why do you have a separate category for them?
Good. Thing is, see, in a social organization, there are many reasons. And see, the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh is having some physical activity also on the open ground. So because we play kabaddi, because we have many physical activities, this society, when the RSS started, so we have not suddenly overnight revolution cannot take place like in the Western countries here. So that's why we have adopted that the RSS will be open to men. The RSS shakas do not have women. So but the RSS activity has women. So all the RSS inspired activities.
In June this year, the Modi government will allow women to be fighter pilots in the Indian Air Force.
Welcome.
Women can play kabaddi.
That has been our demand also.
Women, Geeta Phogat and several other women wrestlers are the pride and joy of India.
Sure.
So what if the RSS plays kabaddi? Women can play kabaddi as well.
That is why RSS is having another organization called Rashtriya Sevika Samiti.
That's my question. Why another organization and why not in the core of the RSS?
See, the thing is, why cricket also should not have, out of 11, 3 women players? One bowler, one batsman.
You know, when we play in our office, our teams are mixed.
No. Are you going to ask the BCCI in the next India conclave when they are going to allow 50% or at least 6-5 men and women cricket club, cricket team?
But there is no parallel, sir. I'll explain why. One is a sport, the other is an organization.
That's why I told.
Which seeks to represent
that is
the
why
views
I told.
of
That is why I am
Indian
telling.
society.
That is why I am telling.
And in that society, women have as much of a role to play as men do.
That is why I am telling. Only in the field activity, men and women are not there together in the Sangha Shaka. All other activities of the RSS women are there. The Seva activities, the Seva Bharati, women are there. The Kutumba Prabodhan, that is the family counseling, women are there. The Go Seva, the Gram Vikas, the rural development, all the activities inspired by RSS and conducted by Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh, 1.5 lakh activities are being conducted. And not a single activity is without women.
Just a few days ago...
And it is the RSS which has inspired hundreds and thousands and lakhs of women to take up to the social work.
You've said 2 or 3 things that I just want to hold on to. One, you said that change happens over time. There can't be an immediate revolution. Is that to suggest, sir, that you believe that at some point in time in the future, 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now, there may be an occasion where, like you've junked the khaki knickers, you've adopted now the full trouser, there may be an occasion where the RSS opens up its doors to...
Sure. Why not? It may. It may. We are not averse to the idea.
Are you willing to work?
I'm not telling that forever it is not going to open its...
Do you see it happen in the foreseeable future while you are still in the Sangh?
It can happen even next year.
It can happen next year only if there
is... The thing is...
One second, hear my question, sir. Only if there is some internal deliberation which has already started. Because I've seen, for example, with the decision to change the uniform, it's taken a 10-year process of decision-making, which has ultimately led to this decision. Can I ask you, sir, is there already a view in the RSS where a debate has begun that at some point in time in the future, women must be allowed not into a side affiliate of the RSS, but into the main body of the RSS?
Rauji, you are speaking on behalf of women. That is good. But I am more for women as far as the public activity is concerned, not less than. Thing is, the RSS is not averse to women participation in any of the RSS activities, and the RSS functions, RSS-inspired activities, women are already participating, number one. And a day may come, sooner or later, when even in the RSS daily gathering, women can participate. Now, having said this, I will tell you, because you are trying to take whether the internal debate is going on. When I say this, the internal debate, not only the internal debate, already in some parts of this country, the RSS Swayamsevaks are experimenting the family shakas where men, women and children coming together and having the one hour shaka activity. They are already doing it. We are not publicizing it because suddenly media people will say, see, RSS has changed. So that is why we are taking our own time to see all these things, because organization will have its own pace. Because
sooner than later, maybe 1 year from now, you just said that there is a possibility that women will be allowed into all activities, including going to a shop.
Anything can happen.
That's interesting. I think that's very significant. I want to come now to another issue where we saw Arun Jaitley, our finance minister, recently say that on Section 377 on homosexuality, the time has come to change. Globally, he said, sir, that there is now an emerging worldview that homosexuality needs to be legalized, that you can't live in the past. Across the world, one nation after another is changing its view. Is there, so far, in past utterances, we've seen very strong opposition to the revocation of Section 377. Is there a possibility, like you've said, that you're open to the idea of allowing women in shakas at some time in the future, that the RSS...
Not way it is connected with homosexuality.
No, of course not. But I'm saying that is there a possibility that the RSS's view on homosexuality also could possibly change, sir?
The sexual preferences are private and personal. Why RSS should discuss that in public?
True. But would there be opposition from the RSS if Section 377
What happens in the inside the room, I don't know. People see gay, being a gay, transgender, or anything, they are all personal preferences. RSS has no view on that. It is for the people to have their own way, as long as it is not going to affect social and other national traditions and ethos. The personal preferences of sexuality is not being discussed in RSS, and we don't want to discuss, and I'm the last person to discuss on public platform like this, because they are personal and private.
So you don't think of homosexuality as a crime? that needs to be penalized, that's against Indian tradition, for example?
I don't think. I don't think it should be treated as a crime that should be punished, as long as it doesn't affect the life of others.
This is indeed very, very significant. Can we have a round of applause, please? For the first time, we've just seen a public utterance from the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh, where one of their senior-most flag bearers is saying that he doesn't believe that that homosexuality is a crime that needs to be punished. This will, in large parts, shape the debate from here on homosexuality in India. And I want to congratulate you for saying that. Thank you very much. I want to come now.
I don't know why do you want to congratulate only on this thing? When I said that RSS...
I also want to congratulate you for what you said about allowing women into shakas at some time in the future. That again is fantastic, and I want to have a round of applause for that, please. So before I throw this session open for questions, I want to ask you about some people who belong to fringe outfits which owe their allegiance to the Sangh Parivar. We saw, for example, O.P. Sharma, a BJP MLA in Delhi, who went and beat up lawyers and journalists at the Patiala House Court. We saw Sakshi Maharaj, we see Yogi Adityanath, we see Sadhvi Prachi, all in some way owe allegiance to the right, the fringe maybe, not necessarily the RSS per se. Why do we not see the RSS distance itself more openly from these fringe elements who give the RSS and Hindutva a bad name?
We are not even embraced. The question of distancing comes only if I have spoken on behalf of them. The question of distancing comes before only if I have embraced them. When I have not done it, why should I say repeatedly that I should distance? Have I supported that? Has the RSS issued any statement?
But you haven't condemned what they did either.
We have condemned. We have condemned. We are on record that what has happened, the vandalism in front of Patiala High Court cannot be condoned, cannot be acknowledged, cannot be supported. But vandalism, to be equated with anti-nationalism, what happened in JNU, is injustice. It cannot be accepted. Don't equate anti-national activity with vandalism. Because the whole debate that you want to change is to JNU's anti-nationalism and Patiala court vandalism, in front of the court. Those two things are equal. That is what people are trying to paint in such a way. Okay, that is not acceptable.
We have time for 3 questions from the audience. Just put your hands up and then we can pick one person who can ask the question. Who would like to ask a question to Dattatreya Ji Hosavle? Okay, I see that gentleman with the French beard. He'd like to ask a question. Can we have a mic sent across to him, please? Can I also just request that if it is possible, somebody who's not from the RSS should ask questions, because I'm sure there are plenty of opportunities to ask questions internally, but somebody who isn't from the RSS.
Most of them might have gone to Sangha Shaka in their childhood.
Go ahead, sir, please.
Sir, as we understand, RSS is not a political organization. So why can't it come out with openly with a very progressive thought about reservation, which Rahul acknowledged earlier on also? The reservation is very important for the society, but it should be for very selected section, which should be for economically weaker section, irrespective of birth, caste, religion. Why that ideology should not be propagated by a social organization like RSS and not propagated to the government? As you said, RSS will share their thoughts with the government on all issues. It's for the government to decide or not. In such a progressive way.
I understood. Thing is, I have clearly said that RSS doesn't want to make a statement for political benefit. It wants to make the statement for the nation, in the interest of nation, which we consider as nation's interest, of course. Thing is, as far as reservation is concerned, it is the positive discrimination, affirmative action, which is required in this country because of historic reasons. There have been social discriminations and social injustice because on the basis of birth in a particular caste. It is a stigma. It is there. And you cannot wish it away just because sitting in Delhi or some metros, we cannot say that this is happening. We should go and see around the society, it is still there. That's why the RSS has taken the decision that we have to support this as long as this social discrimination is there, number one. Having said this, we have added 2 more things. I have already said, please do not politicize it. How we can depoliticize it? appoint a committee of the people who are not from the political background, but from the background of the understanding of politics, from the judiciary, from the general public, the men and women of eminence, those who have understanding of the society and its history, they should sit together. That empowered commission should decide the quota thing. That should be there. Then the creamy layer thing, then who should get what percentage can be decided. Also, it is required that today the time has not come to do away with the caste-based reservation. A time may come, then we can do away with it. Today it is not there. That's why we will have to emphatically say that this is required today. Now the creamy layers should be applied because many people who have studied this whole reservation issue in total, in detail, they have suggested the creamy layer thing. That should be there. So these are the things which RSS has clearly said.
We've got time for 2 more questions. Rajdeep sir this side. Can we have a mic first, please? Just 1 second, Rajdeep. I think the mic's not working. Let me
You speak of a single culture. Now, whether the RSS likes it or not, is actually a land of plural cultures, sir. I come from Goa where people eat beef. Northeast people eat beef. There are tribal communities who have their own culture. There is diversity. In this diversity, you seem to be wanting to impose one culture. As a result, it has resulted in misapprehensions, misgivings, and now in power, beef ban being declared in states like Haryana. Do you believe that is the way to run India? As a single culture, isn't the pluralism, diversity more important? Do you believe the beef ban is the right thing for a country like India, where the RSS and the government of the day is deciding what I can eat in my kitchen? Should that be the way a country should be run, sir?
I tell you. See, the question is about the confusion of the terms or the difference of understanding of the terms. You say culture, the lifestyle, the culture has many expressions in this country. The people of one culture can also have diverse expressions, as it is there in the expressions of one culture in India. That is our belief. I tell you, homogenization, uniformity, we are against it. That cannot happen. Not that RSS is against it, nature abhors it. The thing is not the question of it. Then comes the ethos. Is it necessary that without beef is it true that without beef you can't live? You have to respect the sensibilities and such feelings of others also.
Okay.
If I am not a vegetarian, if somebody is preparing barbecue and if he throws it on my thing, then it is not that I am against non-vegetarianism. Because I can't tolerate it. That is the whole thing. The thing is, in this country, beef eating has not been accepted as culturally it is not correct. That is the thing. So beef eating has been opposed by Mahatma Gandhi also. So Mahatma Gandhi doesn't become communal. RSS becomes communal. Okay. You say that Mahatma Gandhi is also communal because he has been against cow slaughter and beef eating. When you say that, then I will accept.
Preeti Chaudhary.
So culturally, when women were not allowed to step out of their house, why do we continue to reinforce stereotypes? Why only restrict? So culturally, even women were not allowed to step out. Why does the RSS continue to reinforce stereotypes? Why restrict women to the role of, say, what is apt as social welfare? When is it that you're going to open the doors for women to go play with the other boys there? Why not include them in the physical activity? You said it wasn't there in the beginning, but it is now.
It is there. Already in the Balagokulams that RSS conducts, the kids belonging to both the genders, they are
in physical activities, sir?
Yeah, very much. In Balagokulam, we are conducting it.
Preeti is a very good basketball player. Much better than most men.
And one more thing. In many of our training centers, women also come and take classes. Not that women are not entering into RSS program at all. The only thing is, every morning and evening in the open ground in village after village,
Shouldn't we
in
break
small
that?
towns where people are playing, there we have not allowed. That's the only thing. It is because of the social situation in this country. The kids of up to particular age, they are playing together. And RSS conducts more than 1,000 Balagokulams, and where they are playing together.
Ladies and gentlemen, at the India Today Conclave, what we've seen over the past 1 hour is very significant. This is the first time we've seen the RSS take questions, answer those questions, clarify several misconceptions that people had, also show a road to the future. A road where, I know he's saying, but it's the first time you've come to a media conclave and taken questions from here, although they do public sessions where they do take questions, but we've been delighted, sir, regardless of what you're saying.
Now I'll have to say,
Yes.
set the record straight. It is the first time that India Today Conclave has also invited RSS.
No. That's not true. That's not true at all.
At least I have
the
not
India
received
Today
it.
Conclave.
No.
Can I just get a mic?
Whenever.
Can I just get a mic across to Kali, please? The India Today Conclave has been inviting the RSS for as many years as I have been in the India Today group.
Please invite me next year also, I'll come.
We'd be pleasure. Yes, Kali.
Sir, I'd like to say to this audience that we have been chasing the RSS for the last 5 years. And this year, before fixing the dates of the conclave, we checked the dates of the RSS conclave because there's always a clash between
thank you.
your conclave in Nagpur and our conclave in Delhi.
Thank you. You also found that RSS could be invited to a public debate. And one thing, having said this, I tell you, RSS is not averse to taking questions from the public. RSS is not against any debate. RSS encourages debate. RSS believes in democracy. I have been, as you have introduced, fought for the democracy during my student days, and thousands of RSS Swayamsevaks and volunteers. We have been fighting for the democracy, constitutional rights, etc. in this country. Please understand RSS in the right perspective. You engage us in debate. We are ready for debate. Without understanding RSS, people should not comment. That is all the thing.
Oh, absolutely. You can't condemn without debate, which is what I said. Most people form an opinion on the basis of others who have a strong opinion as opposed to a first-hand conversation. And we're delighted to have had that conversation with you. Dattatreya Hosabale, for joining us at the India Today Conclave. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.